Bienvenidos, Ushamdid, and welcome Anne Arundel Community College learners from the Spring 2023 semester taking the CTS-233 Section 400 Network Programmability course. This is the Cisco Networking Academy's DEVASC 200-901 Certification Exam Preparation course. And in this supplemental video tutorial, before we dive into Lab 3.5.7, we need to go a little bit deeper into how we can iterate over Python dictionaries. Now, we probably have an idea that we're going to use a for loop to do that, and we are, but in this video, here's what you're going to learn. I'm going to show you 3 different ways using the items method, using the keys method, and then using the values method. I'm going to show you 3 different ways that we can iterate over Python dictionaries to pull the key value pairs out of there, or the data that we're looking to get out of there. And I realized that after the 346 lab that we saw convention used to do this, and we're going to see it again in 357, and it definitely deserves a little additional coverage to hopefully clarify any questions that you might have. So let's go ahead. We're going to dive into the DEVASC virtual machine. Again, if you do not have the DEVASC virtual machine, that is okay. Everything you're going to see me do here, you could do on your host operating system if you've got Python 3 installed. So you can see right here, I've declared a dictionary in the interactive interpreter. We're going to spice things up a little bit here with some English Premier League data. So we've got Arsenal, Man City, and Manchester United, and those are the key value pairs. So A is the key, Arsenal is the value, B is the key, Manchester City is the value, C is the key, Manchester United is the value. So if I wanted to pull the value out of here, I could simply put the name of the dictionary. Again, I'm just using the letter D. I could have spelt dictionary out. I could have put my dictionary. We're just going to use the lowercase letter d. And so for the key value, or I should say for the key A, the value is Arsenal. What about the key B? It's going to be Man City. The key C is going to be Manchester United. So again, that's how we pull data out quickly. Now, what if I wanted to iterate over this dictionary using the items method? Now remember, if you hit the name of the object and then a period, right? So D period, and then hit tab twice, you should see a list of the available methods. Now remember, the method is inextricably linked to the data type and the object that we're working with, and items is one of those things. Here's keys, right? We're going to see how to do it with keys, and then we're also going to see how to do it with values. So what is d.items going to return to me? And as you can see here, it's going to return, excuse me, a tuple that contains a list, and in that list, you can see where the list runs to. So it's a tuple. We've got the open parents here, and then there's our bracket for the list, and inside that list, where we have tuples in here. So how could I iterate over that output to pull the values out that I need? Well, let's go ahead and let's clear the screen here. And let's say d.items again up here at the very, very top. And so what I could do is I could say for, now here's what we saw earlier in lab 346. You saw 4k comma v in D, which is just the dictionary, dot items, right? And here is the for loop. So for, and here's how I want you to read this. For each of the key value pairs in dictionary items, dictionary.items, right, which is this output that we see up here, what do we want to do? Well, we're going to do an fprint statement here. So I'm going to say print, and remember, the curly braces here, this is all part of the F string. This has nothing to do with, oh, this is how I, this represents a dictionary. This isn't representing a dictionary. It's representing the variable that we're using, the placeholder that we're using right up here. So we're going to say, we're going to do an F string. So it's going to print the key out, which should say A. And then what do we want it to say? A contains the value, the value of, or, you know, K, whatever K represents at that time. For the first iteration, it's going to say A contains the value of, And then this is pretty straightforward. We simply say, whoops, oh, so we'll do V. I said value. We'll do V. Excuse me. And that is going to iterate through and pull each of those out. And so A contains the value of Arsenal, B contains the value of Manchester City, and C contains the value of Manchester United. And so irrespective of the number of key value pairs that we had in here, and again, I could stage this with every single Premier League team, it's going to pump that output for us right away, right? So the key and then the value, and that's what that K and the V stand for. Now, this is using D.items. Now, remember, we saw another method that can be used. What about D.keys? And so here you can see that I'm saying, well, I want to know all the keys that are in this dictionary because maybe this is how I want to go through, or maybe you're checking to see, is the key B in the dictionary? And if the key B is in there, then print out what's the value for B, right? So maybe you're trying to search on a specific key and then to pull that value out. But here's what we can do. We can say we'll just do 4K. So 4K in D.keys, and we know what D.keys is going to return. It's just simply going to return, excuse me, the information that you see above there, that list of A, B, C of the keys. And we're going to use, whoops, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to use the F string print method again, because doesn't this make it easy, right? So there's some examples of how the F string printing, so contains the value of, and here's where you can do something like this. So we're going to put the dictionary in here, and I'm going to put the, so we'll say D and then, I said D and then K, or we need key. I'm sorry, I needed to say key. So we'll say D and then key, right? Or actually, just D and K. I was thinking I need to say key, we don't. Because again, this K right here represents 4K. So for each of the keys in the dictionary, we're going to print out that that key contains, and remember, this is how we get the value out, as we say dictionary, open bracket, the key name, and then close bracket. So for each of the keys in the dictionary, print out the value that that key contains. And that is how easy, excuse me, that's going to be. So there's another way to do it. Now, realistically, maybe you have an if statement under here that's checking, if, whatever the key is you might be looking for is in the dictionary, then print this out. But if the key is not in there, like if you're looking for the key X, right, there's no key X here, then it would just continue on until it finds the key that you're looking for. And so that would be searching based on keys. So now we know how to search based on the items, which are the key value pairs. We know how to iterate over the dictionary and print out all the values based on the keys. And now the last thing we're going to look at is how would we do it using the values. So if I say D.values, you can see that there are the dictionary values. So we can see the keys, we can see the items, we can see the values. Now this is one that is a little bit different because this is going to have a nested for loop, or at least this is the approach that I would come up with to do this using the dictionary values. So for V in D.values, and now we know what D.values is going to produce. It's going to produce this list right up in here. Arsenal, Man City, Man United. So for V in D.values, and then here's our nested. So we get the values, and now what I'm going to say is 4K in D.keys, right? So for each of those values, and then we're going to go through each of those values and get the keys. And here's where we're going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if D K, right? So if, oh, sorry, I said, you know what? I think I just typoed that up there. I said D.values. No, that's right. I'm sorry. D.keys. Okay, we're correct. So if the dictionary key, right? Because we're going to look at each of the keys. So A, B, and C. If the dictionary key is the same as the value, and then we're going to come and say 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, you can see why this is probably the most complicated thing that we're going to do. We're going to say K contains the value, And then here's where we would simply put V for the value. And hopefully I've got this right here. Let's see what's going to happen. And so there we go. And again, a little explanation on this one because it's got quite a bit going on here. So the first thing we do is we say for the values in d.values, right? Well, we know what that's going to return. It's going to return this list. So we're going to iterate over this list here. Arsenal, Man City, Man United. So for each of those, I want to get the keys that are in the dictionary. And if the dictionary key is the value, right, is equivalent to the value, and these are the values that we're seeing up here, then we're going to print out that that key contains that value. And so that's what's happening here, is we get A contains the value Arsenal, B contains the value Man City, C contains the value Manchester United. All right, well, that's three different ways that you can iterate over the dictionary. Again, with the values kind of being the most complicated way, the keys, or I should say the keys, the items being probably the simplest way to go through all of the key value pairs. And again, for keys and values, you're probably thinking that you're looking for something specific based on a specific key or a specific value. And then that's what you want to print out. Again, if you just wanted to iterate over the dictionary and print out every single key value pair, I would highly recommend just the dictionary.items, or D.items as we were using it here. All right, well, that is three very simple ways that you can iterate over Python dictionaries. Hopefully this clarifies any confusion you might have had from the tail end of 346 in that lab and what you're about to see here when we dive into unit testing with Python. All right, thanks so much for watching, and as always, I hope to see you in the next video.